So because I'm ex-big pharma, as they say, and then I worked in biotechnology companies, so I'm not exactly some fluffy person who's going to tell you never to take a vaccine, they're all bad. I've had all the vaccines available in the 1960s and 70s. Both my children, my wife and I decided they should get the full lot. I'm pro well-characterized vaccines. Absolutely prevents tremendous amount of illness and death. But in the case of something like SARS-CoV-2, that kills 1 in 500 people or so, average age 83. I think it'd be great if we had a vaccine for people like that. It might give them a few more months of life, not much more. The reason you die having caught it is not because you've got SARS-CoV-2, it's because you've got a respiratory virus. Almost any of them will kill you at that age. Even a serious cold will kill you. So it would be good, I think, to have a vaccine to use for very vulnerable people. But, this is a really important but, nobody else needs this thing. Your body and my body, I'm not vulnerable. I'm not going to be made seriously ill and die. It would be an astonishing thing, 1 in a million. Maybe. You don't vaccinate the population because 1 in a million people might have a bad outcome. What you do is you look at the people who are vulnerable and you offer them the vaccine with the word offer. Informed consent is important. So it's not necessary, and it's an appalling misuse of a public platform for people to suggest that the only way we all get our lives back is if we mass vaccinate the population. Something very smelly is going on. It's simply not appropriate. It's never been required to do that. I don't even think it would work. Now, let me also just mention, because I was in the pharmaceutical industry, I'm capable of reading development plans. So I've been on a site called clinicaltrials.com, and you can go and look up what's going on with the vaccines. I will say to you that so far, normal for the stage of development, they're looking at antibodies. They're looking at whether the vaccine raises antibodies. That's all they know. They don't know whether it reduces how ill you get or whether you transmit the virus, nor does it measure whether you will have reduced deaths. We don't know this now. This is 3 years too early, 2 or 3 years too early. So all we're going to know when we start vaccinating people is it raises antibodies. And I'm telling you that whilst antibodies are a good thing to have, and I would like to have them if I was very ill, they're probably not they are not the most important part of your immune system. It'll almost certainly be T cells. So I think there's a vaccine development plan that's going to lead to only a small amount of information about it. And then, as I said earlier, you don't need it. If you're young, middle-aged, even slightly my age, 60 and well, you're really not very vulnerable. So I would say if you would not have considered a flu vaccine in the normal course of events coming up to this winter, I don't think you should even consider taking this vaccine. But the main problem I have with it, as you mentioned, is this notion of being mandated or even coerced. So you don't have to, but you can't travel if you don't. That's the sort of thing. I want your viewers to know that that's illegal under international law. That after the Second World War atrocities of Dr. Mengele and other doctors in Japan, where they performed experiments on humans that led to their deaths, we and others in the post-war consensus led to an international law that says that no medical procedure may be performed on a human being without their informed consent, and they must benefit from it, and about 10 other things, but that's basically at the heart of it. Your government doesn't have the right to override that law. So if people are saying you've got to, otherwise you can't go shopping, or you can't go to work or travel, take them to court. It's absolutely illegal, and no one should stand for it. But to say again, I'm pro well-characterized vaccines. If you're elderly, frightened, and vulnerable, and it's available, I would say work with your doctor, consider it. Maybe you should. But everybody else, you don't need it, and something very odd is going on.